Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, the one and only place for your weekly dose of One Piece. We are talking chapter 138 today, titled The Summit.
And what a summit it is. We spend this entire chapter watching one man attempt the impossible for the sake of his friends.
It is one of the single greatest feats of endurance I think we've ever seen from Luffy. He literally puts the crew on his back and climbs a sheer cliff face in a blizzard.
He reaches the top only to collapse at the very last second, and as he's about to fall, a hand reaches out.
A furry hand. If you are on this climb with us every single week and you feel that same chill when the crew is in danger, do us a favor and hit subscribe. You don't want to be the one left at the bottom of the mountain when we find out who that was. Let's get into it. The chapter picks right back up with Wapol standing in Luffy's way.
This guy. You know, we've met some real pieces of work on the Grand Line so far. We've met pirates who are ruthless killers. We've met devious schemers like Kuro. We've met arrogant powerhouses like Don Krieg and Arlong. But I don't think we've met anyone so fundamentally pathetic as Wapol. He's just the absolute worst.
Of all the people to run into, Luffy is carrying Nami and Sanji. They are on death's door, and this glorified trash can decides now is the time to stand on his ego.
It's a fascinating contrast, isn't it? We've just come from Alabasta, where we have a glimpse of a truly noble royal family in the Nefertaris. And here we have the opposite end of the spectrum, a king who is nothing more than a spoiled child with a dangerous ability.
A spoiled child is exactly right. He sees Luffy, who is clearly in a desperate situation, and his first thought isn't, "What's wrong?" or "Who are you?" It's, "Why aren't you bowing to me?"
He demands to know why Luffy isn't bowing to him, the king. And Luffy, in classic Luffy fashion, doesn't even register him. He doesn't have time for titles or posturing. His entire universe has shrunk to a single objective: get Nami and Sanji to a doctor. He just says he's in a hurry.
Because he is. He has two critically ill friends who need a doctor, you absolute moron. The world does not revolve around you, Wapol. And of course, Wapol takes this as the ultimate insult. His ego is so fragile that someone ignoring him is tantamount to a declaration of war.
It's because his authority is completely unearned. A true king, like Cobra, commands respect through their actions and their dedication to their people. Wapol has never done anything to earn respect, so he has to demand it. When it isn't given freely, he perceives it as a deep personal wound.
And what do wounded little animals do? They lash out.
He attacks. He opens his mouth, the Baku Baku no Mi, and tries to take a bite out of Luffy.
It's such a gross power, just unhinging your jaw and swallowing things. And he calls it the Baku Baku shock. Give me a break. You're just trying to eat him. There's nothing shocking about it except how much of a creep you are.
The ability itself is quite versatile. The user can consume anything and then incorporate its properties into their own body or create amalgamations. A more creative and intelligent fighter could make it a terrifying power. Wapol, however, uses it in the most blunt and unimaginative way possible.
And this is the part that just boils my blood. Luffy can't fight back. He can't even dodge properly because he's got Nami on his chest and Sanji on his back. He has to twist his body in this awkward way just to make sure he takes the hit, that Wapol's gross mouth doesn't even touch them. He has to take it.
It's a perfect distillation of Wapol's character. He only ever attacks people who are unable to defend themselves. It's the core of his philosophy. We saw it when he returned to Drum and attacked Dalton while villagers were celebrating. He preys exclusively on the vulnerable.
He's the king of cowards. He sees a guy who is literally burdened, carrying the weight of his family, and his first instinct is to attack that vulnerability. It's disgusting. He doesn't see a desperate man trying to save his friends. He sees an easy target. It's the antithesis of everything Luffy stands for.
Luffy is completely focused. He has this sort of tunnel vision, and it's locked on. He knows the mission: get to the doctor. Nothing else matters. He's not here to fight a deposed king. He's not here to liberate a country. Those things might happen as a consequence of his actions, but right now, his world is Nami's fever and Sanji's frostbite.
But he doesn't have a choice. While Wapol and his goons, Chess and Marimo, are surrounding him. He's trapped. He's taking hits to protect Nami and Sanji. He's trying to guard them with his own body, which is his only available weapon and shield. It's looking really, really bad.
And then we hear a rumbling. Not from the mountain, but from the forest.
The cavalry arrives, and it is the fluffiest, most unexpectedly awesome cavalry you could ask for. It's the Lapahns.
The giant carnivorous rabbits that Luffy befriended earlier, a species known for being incredibly violent and territorial.
Yes, the ones he stood up for, the ones he protected the baby for. Remember that? He just saw this big rabbit protecting its kid from the herd, and he got in the middle of it. He didn't know why they were fighting. He just saw a parent and a child and decided, nope, not on my watch. He took a beating from the whole herd for it.
This is such a classic touch in the story. An act of kindness, of pure instinctual goodness from Luffy pays off at the exact moment he needs it most. It's not a deus ex machina, it's a direct consequence of his character. He builds alliances not through strategy, but through empathy.
He didn't do it expecting a reward. He did it because he saw a family in trouble and he helped. And now that family is returning the favor. That's how the Straw Hats work. That's how the world should work. It's like with Chuchi back in Orangetown. He protected that dog's treasure because it was important to the dog. That's it. That's the whole reason. And here, he protected a family, and now the whole herd shows up to protect his family. It's perfect.
The Lapahns essentially form a living wall between Luffy and Wapol, giving him the opening he needs to escape. The symbolism is potent. Nature itself is rising up to aid Luffy and reject Wapol.
They tell him, in their animal way, go, we've got this, save your friends. And Luffy doesn't hesitate. He thanks them and he is gone. He makes a break for the mountain. There's this great panel of him running, totally focused, with this chaos erupting behind him. He trusts them to handle it.
This leaves Wapol to deal with an entire herd of very angry, very large rabbits. A fitting punishment, though, as we'll see, a temporary one.
It's a great moment, but it's just the appetizer. The real test hasn't even started yet, because Luffy gets to the base of the Drum Rockies.
And it's not a mountain you can hike up. The way it's drawn is breathtaking. It's a sheer cliff face, a straight vertical climb, thousands of feet into the air, in a snowstorm. It's an impossible object.
My heart just sank when I saw it. I was thinking, there's no way. There's just no way a person can do this, let alone a person carrying two other people. You'd need professional gear, ice picks, ropes, a whole team. He has nothing. It felt like the story was drawing a period at the end of the sentence. The journey ends here.
But he doesn't even pause. There is no moment of doubt. There's no panel of him looking up in despair. He sees the obstacle, he knows the goal is at the top, and he starts to climb. It's as simple as that in his mind.
Bare-handed, not even gloves, in a blizzard. And he's not wearing shoes, just his sandals. His sandals. I build things for a living, Robin, and let me tell you, your hands are everything. The idea of digging your raw fingers into frozen, jagged rock, the splinters, the frostbite, the sheer pain of it makes my skin crawl. And his feet, he has no grip. He's just using his toes. How is that even possible?
It speaks to his complete trust in his own body, and more importantly, his own conviction. The physical act is secondary to the will driving it. He has made the decision that he will get to the top, so his body simply has to follow that command, no matter the cost.
And you have to remember the weight. He has Nami strapped to his chest and Sanji on his back. Let's put that in perspective. Nami is the crew's navigator, their guide, the one who tells them where to go. Sanji is the chef, their sustenance, the one who keeps them alive. He is literally carrying the crew's direction and its life force on his back, while he, the captain, forges the path forward. It's a perfect visual metaphor for his role.
He's also carrying the two people who are often the most pragmatic and grounded, and he's undertaking the most reckless and idealistic task imaginable on their behalf.
The wind is howling, snow is blasting him, and he just keeps going. The panels here are just incredible. The sense of scale, how small he is against this giant pillar of rock. This is what separates Luffy from so many other protagonists. It's not about a new transformation or a flashy finishing move. This is about pure, uncut, 100 proof will.
His will has always been his strongest quality. More than his devil fruit, more than his strength. I feel like we're seeing the very early seeds of what will eventually be called haki. This isn't conqueror's haki in the way we'll come to know it, knocking people out. This is the source of it. This is the raw, untamed force of a single person's spirit imposing itself on the world. The refusal to accept a reality where his friends don't get what they need.
We see him slipping. His hands are bleeding. You see the blood on the white snow on the rock. It's such a stark image. He's getting frostbite. His lips are turning blue. He's talking to them, to Nami and Sanji, telling them to hang on. He's trying to keep them warm with his own body heat, which he is rapidly losing. It's just this desperate, one-sided conversation.
It's a mantra. He's not just encouraging them, he's encouraging himself. He's externalizing his motivation, reminding himself with every word why he can't let go. If he says hang on to them, he's also saying it to himself.
And then Nami, man, this part got me.
There's a moment where Nami murmurs in her feverish sleep, "Luffy," and you see this close-up on Luffy's face. His eyes are wide. It's like a jolt of electricity. It seems to give him another burst of strength.
It's the only fuel he has, that bond, the knowledge that even in her delirium she knows he's there. She trusts him. That is everything. It's the ultimate affirmation that what he's doing matters. He can't stop. He won't stop. It's what being a captain is. It's not about giving orders. It's about taking responsibility for your crew's lives and dreams, even when they can't do it themselves.
And the story makes a point to tell us this. He has been climbing for 3 hours straight.
3 hours of that torture. Think about that. That's not a 5-minute struggle. That's 180 minutes of continuous agonizing effort, pulling up not just his own weight, but theirs too. The sheer physical output is something I can't even comprehend. My arms would have given out in the first 2 minutes.
Specifying the time frame is so important. It prevents us from dismissing it as a quick shonen-style power-up. It grounds the feat in a reality of grueling, prolonged suffering. It makes the achievement feel earned on a profound level.
And then he sees it. The top, the castle is right there. He's so close. The hope in his eyes. After all that darkness and snow, he sees the goal.
It's a literal light at the end of the tunnel, or in this case, at the top of the cliff.
He puts on one final burst of speed. He's running on fumes, less than fumes. He's running on memory at this point. He throws himself over the ledge.
He made it. He's at the summit. He's done the impossible.
And the second his feet are on solid ground, the second he knows Nami and Sanji are safe at the top, he just collapses. The strings are cut. His body completely gives out.
All that adrenaline, all that willpower that was holding him together, it just vanishes because the mission is complete. His brain sends the signal, objective achieved. You are now permitted to shut down. He falls face first into the snow.
It was such a triumph and then immediately terrifying. This overwhelming sense of relief followed by pure panic because he's out cold, utterly and completely spent. He did the job, but it cost him everything he had. He looks almost dead.
It's one of the first times we see Luffy push himself to this particular kind of absolute limit. We've seen him beaten in fights, like against Mihawk or Crocodile later on. But this is different. This isn't defeat. This is the toll of total victory. And before we get to what happens next, the chapter cuts back down to the bottom of the mountain.
Right, Wapol. I almost forgot about him, which is a testament to how unimportant he is compared to Luffy's struggle.
He and his men have defeated the Lapahns. It seems they overwhelmed them with numbers and firepower. Wapol is even eating one of his fallen soldiers, Chess Marimo, to create a new cannon.
Of course they did. Wapol can't win a fair fight. He sees the Lapahns are all down and he gets this smug look on his face. And then he looks up at the mountain, this colossal monument that Luffy just conquered through sheer will.
He vows revenge. He's going to follow Luffy up there and finish what he started.
This guy's ego is so fragile, it's unbelievable. A normal person would see that climb and think, okay, whoever that guy is, he's a monster. I'm staying away. Wapol sees it and thinks, how dare he make it up there after ignoring me? He can't stand that Luffy just ignored him. So now, even after all of that, the threat isn't gone, it's just delayed.
It raises the stakes for what's happening at the top. Luffy is unconscious. Nami and Sanji are unconscious. They are completely vulnerable. They survived the environment, but now the human threat is on its way.
And that's when we cut back. Luffy is lying there completely still in the snow, and his body's so close to the edge of the cliff.
The momentum from his collapse is still carrying him. He starts to slide backward, back toward the edge he just climbed. His body is limp. There's no resistance.
No, I was yelling at the page. After all that, after 3 hours of that hell, after bleeding and freezing and pushing himself past any conceivable human limit, he's going to fall all the way back down because he was just too exhausted to take one more step? It felt so cruel. It felt like the world itself was just rejecting his effort.
He's about to go over. His head, his shoulders, they're over the edge. The abyss is waiting to reclaim him. It's over.
And then a hand grabs his coat.
A very strange hand. It's not human. It's covered in what looks like brown fur with what appear to be hooves at the end of the fingers, almost like a deer's, and is attached to a figure we can't quite see clearly.
Some kind of creature? It looks humanoid, but it's definitely not human. It's got this big roundish head and antlers poking out of a hat. Maybe it's a mink from zoo? I know we haven't heard about them yet, but it's a world of weirdos. What would a mink be doing all the way out here in paradise? And why is it wearing pants?
Remember what Dalton said. The only person left on the summit is the witch, Dr. Kureha, and her mysterious pet.
So this is the pet. This is what he was talking about. A reindeer man thing. That's unexpected. But it saves Luffy. It digs its heels in and pulls him back from the brink.
It does. It saves all three of them. And that's where the chapter ends, with this strange, furry, bipedal creature holding on to an unconscious Luffy, preventing him from falling to his death.
Super. That is an all-time cliffhanger. Just an absolute masterclass in tension. What a chapter. The entire thing is just one monumental effort. No big lore drops, no giant flashy fights, just one character defining himself through action.
It's a character study of Luffy, really. It shows you everything you need to know about him without him throwing a single real punch. His priorities, his loyalty, his insane resilience. It's all laid bare on that cliff face.
It's all heart. Pure, unadulterated heart. He's not the king of the pirates yet, but that right there, that's kingly behavior. Taking the entire burden for your people.
It is. So where does this leave us? Luffy, Nami, and Sanji are at the top, but they're all unconscious and at the mercy of a witch and her strange pet.
And Wapol is on his way up the mountain, presumably with his two cronies. The clock is ticking. Kureha has to work fast if she's going to help them.
Assuming she even wants to. Dalton called her a witch for a reason. She might not be the benevolent doctor they're hoping for.
Nah, she's gotta be. You don't set up a climb like that for the doctor to just turn them away. She's gonna be tough, she's gonna be a character, but she's going to help. I have faith. My faith is in this storytelling right now. Well, it's working. That was a masterpiece of a chapter. Just pure storytelling.
I agree. It feels like a pivotal moment for the crew, even with two of them completely out of commission. This is a moment the survivors will remember forever.
If you felt that emotional roller coaster along with us, from the desperation to the triumph to the terror at the end, drop a comment and let us know what you thought was the most powerful moment of the climb. We read every single one.
All right, shall we move on to predictions for chapter 139?
Let's do it. You go first this time.
Okay, my first prediction is that we will learn this pet is far more than just a pet. I think it possesses medical knowledge of its own, and it will be the one to begin emergency treatment on Nami before Kureha even shows up. It won't wait for permission.
Ooh, I like that. The pet is the intern. Okay, so he's not just the muscle that pulled Luffy up, he's got brains too.
Second, I predict that Wapol won't climb the mountain. He's too lazy and too reliant on his devil fruit. He will use his Baku Baku factory to create some kind of cannon or vehicle to ascend the cleft face, showing again how he uses cheap tricks instead of effort.
That is so in character for him. A garbage king using a garbage vehicle. He'll probably eat a bunch of scrap metal and turn himself into a crappy ski lift. I can see it. Okay, my turn. Prediction 1. We meet Dr. Kureha, and she is exactly as advertised. A super old lady with a mean streak, and she's going to demand an insane price for her services, but she will ultimately have a heart of gold.
The classic archetype. It fits the world. A tough exterior protecting a genuinely caring person.
Prediction 2. Sanji is the first one to wake up. He's not as sick as Nami. He wakes up, sees this weird furry creature standing over an unconscious Nami, and immediately tries to kick it, starting a huge misunderstanding right as the doctor is trying to work. His chivalry is going to get in the way of the medical treatment.
That also feels incredibly plausible. A protect Nami Swan at all costs moment. It's a very Sanji thing to do. I have one more.
Go for it.
My third prediction is that Kureha's castle is filled with books and medical equipment from the Ishii 20, the royal doctors that Wapol drove out. She's been safeguarding the collective medical knowledge of the entire kingdom this whole time. She's not just a doctor, she's a living library, the last bastion of Drum's medical heritage.
Bro, that's it. That has to be it. She's the guardian of Drum's medical legacy. That's why she's so important, why Dalton respects her so much, even while calling her a witch. Man, I can't wait to see if you're right. That would be incredible. Okay, my last one. We're going to get a small scene back with Vivi and Usopp. They're going to see Wapol heading for the mountain and realize they have to do something to stop him from getting to Luffy. They're going to team up with Dalton to intercept him.
A pincer movement. I like it. It keeps the rest of our cast active while the drama unfolds at the summit. Vivi gets to be strategic and Usopp gets to be brave.
Exactly. They can't just sit around and wait. They're straw hats, even if temporarily. It's time for the Usopp Pirates, featuring Princess Vivi and a wounded but determined Dalton, to make their move.
Very solid predictions all around. I'm excited to see which, if any, come to pass.
Me too. This is one of those moments where anything could happen, and it is going to be a ride no matter what. That's all the time we have for this week.
We'll be back next time to see who our heroes have woken up to. For Inherited Dawn, I'm Robin.
And I'm Franky. We'll see you at the summit.